Imagine this. A man walks into a room, confident but calm. He doesn't try too hard, he doesn't brag, yet somehow attention naturally gravitates toward him. What makes this different from most men? The answer lies in something almost no one talks about, and it's not what you think. Women, like all humans, respond to a combination of energy, presence, and emotional stability. They rarely verbalize it, but they sense it immediately. They are drawn to men who seem unshaken by life's chaos, who carry a quiet strength that doesn't need validation. Here's the hidden truth. Women don't want men who chase approval. They want men who understand themselves. Let's bring this closer to reality. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Despite ruling an empire, he wasn't defined by the praise of others. He mastered his own mind, controlled his emotions, and led with rationality. That inner control, it created a presence so strong that people, including women in his life, were naturally drawn to him. They didn't need to announce it. His actions, not his words, revealed his character. Now, apply this to modern life. Most men try to impress through flashy gestures, humor, or incessant attention. These behaviors might work temporarily, but they rarely leave a lasting impression. Women, consciously or not, are sensing how stable and self-aware a man is, not how loud or charming he can be. Stoicism teaches us to shift focus inward. Instead of asking, "How do I make her like me?" Ask, "How can I improve myself, regardless of what others think?" Here's a practical exercise. The next time you're in a social situation, observe your energy. Are you constantly seeking approval? Or are you calmly participating, confident in your own worth? That subtle shift from seeking validation to self-mastery changes everything. People, especially women, notice. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're fully present and composed. Consider this mini challenge. Pick one area in your life this week where you usually feel the need to over-explain, over-justify, or over-perform. Instead, step back. Observe. Respond intentionally. Stoicism isn't about being cold or detached from life. It's about choosing your reactions, not being controlled by them. When you practice this consistently, it creates a magnetic effect. Women, and people in general, gravitate toward calm, confident energy. Here's a quote to reflect on. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, this is the core of the hidden truth. Women notice strength, but not the strength you try to show. They notice the strength you embody silently, effortlessly. So the first step? Stop chasing approval. Start mastering your mind. The world and women will respond to the man you quietly become. There's a principle in Stoicism that most men completely overlook, but it's a game changer in relationships and attraction. It's the idea that your value isn't measured by what others think of you, but by your own virtue and character. This is the kind of mindset that immediately changes how women perceive you, without you saying a word. Think of Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher born a slave who became one of the greatest teachers of his time. He couldn't control his circumstances, yet he controlled himself. His calm, disciplined nature drew students, respected peers, and influence. Why? Because people, especially women, sense authenticity and self-mastery. They feel it in your energy before they hear a single word. Now, imagine applying this in everyday life. Most men chase attention, try to impress with wealth, humor, or social status. Stoicism flips this. Instead of asking, "How do I get her to notice me?" you ask, "Am I living in alignment with my principles?" When you focus on being a man of integrity, patience, and self-discipline, women naturally notice. Attraction isn't created through chasing. It emerges when you embody the qualities they subconsciously respect. Let's break it down with a modern example. Picture a man at a social gathering. He doesn't need to dominate conversation or perform for attention. He listens, speaks thoughtfully, and stays composed even if someone is critical or disrespectful. This isn't arrogance. It's detachment rooted in inner confidence. That subtle difference? It's magnetic. Women are wired to notice emotional stability and authenticity, even if they don't articulate it. Here's a mini Stoic practice. For 1 week, pay attention to your reactions. Whenever you feel the urge to seek approval or react defensively, pause. Ask yourself, does this action align with the person I want to be? Over time, this trains your mind to respond with calm, deliberate energy. You're not acting cold, you're acting intentionally. And intentionality is irresistible. Consider another historical example. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, was known for his wisdom, composure, and clear judgment. He could have flaunted power, wealth, or charm to impress people, but he didn't. Women and men alike were drawn to him because of the quiet mastery he displayed in everyday life. They felt safe, respected, and intrigued by a man whose actions matched his values. Here's a reflection for you. Attraction is less about what you do and more about who you are. By living stoically, by embodying discipline, patience, and emotional resilience, you naturally become magnetic. You no longer chase, you attract. And that, in itself, changes everything. So today's takeaway: focus on your internal virtue, not external validation. The Stoic principle of self-mastery transforms how you carry yourself, how you interact, and ultimately, how women perceive your presence. Attraction isn't magic. It's quiet, deliberate, and rooted in character. Here's a secret most men never realize. The ability to control your emotions is more attractive than charm, wealth, or status combined. Women, and people in general, are drawn to men who are calm under pressure, who remain composed when life throws curveballs. This is where Stoicism shines. The power is already inside you. You just need to practice using it. Imagine a man stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. Most people would fume, curse, or stress out. Now, picture a man who stays calm, breathes, and thinks strategically. What's in my control? My reaction, my mindset. That's emotional control. It's not passive. It's active mastery over your inner world. And it translates directly into attraction. Women notice the difference between a man who panics and a man who handles life with composure. Let's look at a historical example. Marcus Aurelius faced wars, political betrayals, and personal loss daily. Yet his writings reveal a man who didn't let anger or frustration dictate his actions. He responded thoughtfully, not impulsively. Women and allies respected him not because of force or intimidation, but because of his unshakable inner calm. That's the kind of magnetic energy Stoicism cultivates. Here's a practical exercise you can start today. Whenever you feel a surge of negative emotion, anger, jealousy, frustration, pause and ask, is this within my control? Most of the time, the external event isn't, but your response is. Choose to respond intentionally rather than react automatically. Over time, this becomes second nature and people, including women, sense it. Calm confidence is silent, but powerful. Consider another scenario: a disagreement with a colleague, friend, or partner. Most men raise their voice, try to dominate, or argue to win. A Stoic man listens, acknowledges feelings without being swayed, and responds with reason. Women are naturally drawn to this behavior because it signals emotional intelligence and strength. Emotional control isn't about being emotionless. It's about managing your emotions instead of letting them manage you. Here's a mini challenge. For 1 week, track moments when you feel triggered emotionally. Before responding, take a breath, count to 3, and respond calmly. Reflect each night on how this shift impacted your interactions. You'll notice people respect and respond to you differently. Women, especially, notice the energy of men who can stay grounded under pressure. It's subtle but unmistakable. A final reflection. Attraction isn't about being flashy or performing. It's about how you handle life storms. Stoicism teaches that calm, controlled energy is far more compelling than charm or ego-driven effort. As Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. Your emotional mastery changes how the world and women perceive you. So start today. Recognize your emotional triggers, control your reactions, and embody calm confidence. This hidden power is one of the most potent tools you already own, and it's irresistible when wielded wisely. Here's a truth most men never fully grasp. Words can impress temporarily, but actions build lasting attraction. Women, like all humans, are wired to notice consistency, integrity, and the energy behind behavior. This is where Stoicism offers a powerful advantage, because it emphasizes living your values, not just talking about them. Think about the legendary Stoic Seneca. He didn't just preach virtue, he lived it. His teachings on wisdom, self-discipline, and patience were compelling because people could see them reflected in his daily life. Actions reinforced his words, making him magnetic and respected. Women and men alike gravitated toward him because his character spoke louder than any clever argument or flattery could. Now, translate this to modern life. Many men focus on saying the right things to attract women, compliments, humor, or persuasive conversation. These can work in the short term, but they're fragile. Words are cheap, actions are evidence. Show reliability, respect, and emotional consistency through your behavior, and attraction grows naturally. For example, if you promise to meet someone, actually show up. If you value honesty, practice it consistently. These small, deliberate actions communicate far more than anything spoken. Let's make it practical. Consider the way you treat people in daily life, not just the person you're interested in. Are you patient with strangers, composed in stressful situations, and generous without expecting anything in return? These behaviors broadcast stability, maturity, and integrity. Women may not articulate it, but they sense it deeply. Presence rooted in authentic action creates respect and attraction effortlessly. Here's a mini challenge. Pick one interaction today where you usually rely on words to impress. Instead, act in a way that demonstrates your values silently. For example, instead of bragging about achievements, quietly excel at your work or hobby. Instead of over-explaining emotions, show consistency and calmness in your reactions. These subtle actions leave a lasting impression without a single boastful word. Historical examples reinforce this. Consider Marcus Aurelius again. His leadership wasn't about rhetoric alone. It was in how he approached problems, treated his soldiers, and maintained composure in crises. Women and allies alike were drawn to him because his life reflected his principles. That's the ultimate Stoic lesson. Live your values consistently, and your presence will communicate what words cannot. A reflection for today: think of one area where your words don't match your actions. Are you claiming to be disciplined but often distracted? Claiming emotional control but overreacting? Aligning actions with words creates a magnetic effect. Women and people in general are drawn to authenticity and consistency. Stoicism teaches that living your philosophy is not optional. It's essential to presence and influence. So here's the key takeaway. Focus less on impressing through speech and more on expressing through behavior. Every deliberate, value-driven action compounds into natural attraction. Actions speak louder than words, and when aligned with Stoic principles, they communicate strength, integrity, and confidence that words alone never could. Here's the paradox of attraction. The more you chase, the less magnetic you become. Women and people in general are drawn to men who are unattached to outcomes, who live fully on their own terms. Stoicism teaches this principle clearly. Focus on what you can control, let go of what you cannot, and embody freedom in your daily life. This is the ultimate form of attraction. Think about Epictetus, the former slave who became a philosopher. He had no control over his past, his social standing, or the whims of fortune, but he mastered his own mind. That mastery gave him freedom, confidence, and a magnetic presence. People, including women, sensed his independence and were drawn to it. The lesson is timeless. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means self-mastery. Now imagine modern life. Most men measure success by approval, attention, or validation. They overinvest emotionally, trying to control how women feel or respond. Stoicism flips this mindset. Instead of asking, "Will she like me?" you ask, "Am I living in alignment with my principles?" By detaching from the outcome, you naturally exude calm confidence and authenticity, qualities that are far more attractive than trying to please or manipulate. Here's a practical exercise. Identify one situation this week where you tend to overinvest in approval or outcomes. It could be a social interaction, a romantic pursuit, or even a professional scenario. Step back. Focus on your behavior, your composure, and your principles, not on what the other person does or thinks. You'll notice an immediate shift in energy. You feel freer, and others respond differently to you. Consider another historical example. Marcus Aurelius was constantly surrounded by political intrigue and fluctuating public opinion. Yet he remained detached, focused on duty, virtue, and reason. That detachment didn't make him cold or unfeeling. It made him powerful, composed, and magnetic. Women and allies respected him not because he tried to win them over, but because his presence communicated stability, intelligence, and self-possession. Here's a reflection for you. True attraction isn't created by effort, manipulation, or obsession. It emerges from freedom and self-mastery. When a man is unattached, he communicates strength without aggression, calm without indifference, and presence without pressure. Women and people in general sense this immediately. A mini challenge: practice detachment for one day in a specific scenario. Observe without reacting emotionally, act intentionally, and let go of the need for approval. Reflect on how it changes your interactions. This simple, Stoic practice can transform not only your relationships but your confidence, energy, and sense of self. Remember this quote from Epictetus: "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Apply it, and you become the kind of man who attracts naturally, not through effort or words, but through presence, integrity, and mastery of self. Living stoically isn't just a philosophy. It's the key to becoming irresistibly magnetic.